Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ruby Summer Rose Court. To recap where we left off last time, we decided to open up another portal, and we went to the plane of Lanzahua, where we met Ren and Nora, and we are on track to meeting Ren's mother, I believe. So now we're just taking a stroll through the village with Nora. Let's dive right back in. The sun creeps over the horizon. Nora rises with the dawn, shaking me awake and dragging us all outside the gates. Don't worry, the Grimm are all gone. Come on, I want to show you something. Do you really think it's going to work? I know it will. We have Ruby. As we walk, a thread of anticipation winds down around my neck. Grasping my good luck pendant, I take a big gulp of the mountain air. Hold up, where are we going? A large tower sits in the center of the valley. It looks like nature tried its best to reclaim the area. The valley is more forest than city by now. Branches and treetops just out from the roofs of ruined buildings. Roots and vines break through the stones on the path, reaching out to snare unwary travelers. Welcome to the hidden temple. Nora. What? It is hidden, and it's a temple. What is this place? It's the seat of the dragon monks. It's the place closest to Lanzahua. It's easiest to commune with the spirit from here. We have a place like that on my plane too. My throne room. It's tied directly to Crescent Rose. Do the vines around here sometimes try and strangle you too? Ren's mom has been in there forever. For forever. She's only been there for 2 years. That's still a long time. You haven't seen your mom in 2 years? She's meditating. She can't afford to have any distractions. Now, normally, you're only supposed to visit if you have an invitation, and you're accompanied by the head monk. I can't help but notice we didn't bring the head monk, or leave any word with him about where we were going. That's because we're sneaking in, obviously. You can get in without the head monk, if you pass the tests. What kind of tests? Oh, you know, the usual kind. Traps, pitfalls, swinging guillotines. But those are the easy ones. Weiss and I share a look. I'm kidding. It's easier than that. You've done this before, right? Oh yeah, loads of times. I mean, Ren's never gotten past the last trial, but yeah. It's perfectly safe. Well, that's good to know. Just don't annoy the piranha birds. What? Man, Ruby looks beat still. So does Weiss. This is an awful design choice. Wimps. Oh, they're probably talking about, like, the floor or something. Inside the temple, it's hushed. Nora closes the great doors behind us, sealing out the sounds of the world outside. Come on, follow me. There's several pathways, winding and twisting. Ren leads the way with a surety that I wish I shared. After a while, he stops. Without warning, a ray of brilliant white light shines up, blinding me. Ah! I take a step back, bumping into Nora. Aha, don't worry, it's just the barrier. Only those pure can walk through. With that, she lets me go, walking forward into the light. It dies down some, and I can see Ren and Nora waiting for me on the other side. Purity? Like my soul or something? I must keep out Grimm. Clearing my throat nervously, I walk towards the barrier as well. There's resistance, and then it gives, and I'm on the other side. Waiting for me to motion her forward, Sershni walks towards the barrier. Unusually, her face is bright red. Ow! What is the meaning of this? The barrier is obviously miscalibrated. Guess you just aren't pure enough, Sershni. How dare you? How dare this wall impugn my honor? Behind me, Nora starts giggling. I turn around to give her a questioning look. She buries her face in Ren's shoulder, shaking with helpless laughter. What's so funny? Why can't she get through? Most people can't get through. Nora, stop being rude. The look on their faces, though. She gets a hold of herself, clearing her throat. It's about purity of intention, you guys. Oh? I see. What did you think I was talking about? Huh? Oh boy, I looked to Weiss in confusion, surprised to see her covering her face in embarrassment. Oh, Weiss. Don't tease them, you worded it poorly. Ren directs his attention to Weiss. You have to calm yourself and your mind and go through with no doubt or conflicted feelings. Not just that, you have to walk through with a sense of commitment. You gotta want to see this through more than anything in the world. Furious, Cershni braces herself for impact and takes a running leap at the barrier. Once more, she's reflected off of it. Violently repelled, she goes rolling back down the hallway. Cershni! She sits up, disheveled and angry still. Oh, you can't be serious. What do I have to do? I go through the barrier again to crouch down next to her. Cershni, I'm so sorry. It's okay. You don't have to hurt yourself. This is ridiculous. I was given the honor of escorting you to the portals. I must continue to do my duty. I give her a quick hug before letting go, quickly slipping through the barrier again. I look at Cershni over my shoulder. Don't worry, Ren and Nora are trustworthy, and I can protect myself. Just wait here, okay? Wait! Cershni gets up to her feet, her face still brilliantly scarlet. Your Majesty, allow me one more attempt. Aw, poor Weiss, she really wants to go. You can try as many times as you like, nobody's stopping you. Cershni walks up to the barrier, stopping just short of it. Exhales slowly, and walks through it. Approaching me, she lowers her gaze. I will not abandon my queen. Aw, that's really sweet. That's a good moment right here. Good White Rose moment. True to Nora's words, the next few trials we go through are harmless. They're intended to keep out the Grimm or people with malicious intent. Ren's mom is very powerful, but a little vulnerable. It'd be awful. Not awesome. It'd be awful if some baddie got in here. Who would do such a thing, though? Well, they'd murder me first, most likely. Then if they killed my mother, it'd be easier for them to attune with Lanzahua. I was so busy thinking of the threat of the encroaching Grimm, I'd forgotten humans could be a bigger enemy to me, personally. Oh, yeah. Crow sent me to live with the Xiaolong tribe. That's where I met Yang. Did you like it there? It kept me safe. I was happy. But I never really felt like I fit in. We rarely do. Nuh-uh. Nora links one arm with Ren's and then the other with mine. We belong with each other. Okay. So the fact that Nora is linking Ruby to her and Ren, does that mean that if you decide to be with one of them, it kind of means that you're with both of them? Like, are they already in a relationship right now, and then you're just like entering into a polyamorous relationship? So yeah, we do. Probably goes down that route, but I've gotta do it for Penny. Stay oblivious. In what way? I shake my head, but I can't help laughing. In what way? She's upset a little bit. We're all spirit touched, duh. Her arm slips over my shoulders to hug me before she lets me go. She charges ahead to the next trial, a massive stone door. When the rest of us reach her, she's sitting in front of it, uncharacteristically silent. So what do we do here? Patience. It will come. He stands in front of the door, his arms folded. I watch him, waiting for something to happen. Just sit still. Try to open the door, or what should I do? Let's not do anything out of our place. What should I do? I move to sit next to Nora, looking up at Ren. Weiss joins us. There's really nothing I should be doing? Ren doesn't say anything, his eyes closing as he keeps his concentration. Seriously, just stay still. Okay, the fact that we're brought back to this prompt makes me think that we are supposed to do something with the door. Oh, okay, it just chose for me. Nearly an hour passes until Ren speaks again. It's open. Nora jumps up to her feet, dancing with excitement. Way to go, Ren! She turns to me, lowering her voice to explain. Ren can't always open the door. This is a good sign. Oh, so it's a good thing that I didn't mess with the door then. Maybe it would have screwed things up. Then let's move on. We do, working our way further down. The walls press in with the weight of the earth above us, and the temperature steadily drops. How many more tests are there? Just one. Ren worries at his lip. The one I can never get past. What's difficult about it? Maybe I can help with more. Maybe I can help more with this one. As we round the corner, I see another open room, another door locked. You help just by being here. How? You answer a question. It's one I've never been able to answer honestly. He walks up to the door and places his palm on it. It lights up in an unfamiliar script, and Nora gasps. It's never done that before. Nora runs up to Ren and holds his free hand, bouncing in place. What does this say? Oh, wait, I can read this, I can read it. Taking a deep breath, Nora prepares to speak, then she falls quiet. Well? Why are you here? I am in great need. Please, open. For a moment I think we failed the final test, but then the door opens, slowly on great stone hinges. Dust drifts down from the walls, collected there from years of disuse. Nora turns to Ren, staring at him in disbelief. What was that? I answered the question. Weiss and I look at each other in awkward silence. The other two continue talking, forgetting we're even in the room. You mean you just had to say please? Yes. Well, why didn't you do that before? Even if I had, the doors wouldn't have opened. He tightens his grip on Nora's hand. I wanted to be inside, but I didn't need it. It was an impure motive. I just wanted to see my mom. Aw. Nora hugs him tightly. I wanted to see her too. I get it. They're really close together. There's a lot of, like, I guess you could call it PDA, but yeah, a lot of that. Ren lowers his head and presses his forearm against his eyes, standing absolutely still. He and Nora wait in front of the open door, both of them unable to step forward. When he's composed himself, Ren looks to me. But now that you're here, we are in great need of her assistance. The Grimm are organizing. The planes are in danger. Thank you, Ruby. Glad to bring disaster wherever I go, I guess. Come on, let's go inside. The door leads to a narrow hallway, cramped and closed in. As we move further in, the roof expands above us. All around us, more of the same glowing lines fade in and out, casting a strange, haunting light. A lone figure sits at the center of the room. I wonder if lines is meant to say vines. I'm not sure. Ren twitches when he sees her. He stops in his tracks, frozen for a second. Nora doesn't show the same restraint. Lynn! And here we go, Ren's mother. Oh, she's even starting to grow like dragon scales. The woman at the center of the room looks up, startled awake. The second she gets to her feet, Nora tackles her, hugging her around the waist. Nora! Lynn returns the embrace, squeezing Nora tightly. How in the... what are you... how did you... Her name is Lilin. She looks up over at the rest of us, waiting a safe distance away. Oh. Lynn is a faunus, as far as I can tell. Iridescent scales decorate her brow and cheeks, disappearing down the high collar of her robe. When she speaks, I see the flickering of a split tongue. Ren? Ren's hand twitches up. He gives her a tiny wave. Hi. Really? An array of conflicting emotions war across Lynn's face. Oh, Ren. Grief-stricken, she looks away. Why did you come here? There's an affected, casual tone to Ren's voice that I hadn't heard before. Oh, what's the worst that could happen? The spirit strikes me down? She looks back at him just a glare, a sharp tone entering her voice. Don't speak that way to me, young man. I'm your mother and I'm allowed to be worried about you. Don't worry, Lin. I'll protect him if anything bad happens. You... She growls under her breath, smacking a palm to her forehead. Damn it. You two were always so rebellious. That's why you love us. With infinite softness, Lin brushes Nora's hair out of her face and straightens her collar, fussing over her like a mother cat. Does seem like that. I do. Then, with a guarded expression, Lin looks up to her son. Come over here. Ren is at her side in a flash, though he stops just a few steps short of her. Lin grins despite herself, craning her neck back to beam up at Ren. Look at you, you got taller. That happens to teenagers sometimes. Smartass. To hear that wry maternal sass from such an austere-looking individual makes me giggle in shock. As if remembering why he is here, Ren's spine straightens and that cool demeanor returns. Mother, I brought the one attuned to Crescent Rose. Lin gives me a brief glance but avoids looking into my eyes. Let me guess. The one with red hair. Yeah. That's me. I feel as though the acknowledgement counts as an invitation to step closer. Waving for Weiss to stay behind, I approach the three. Right, I'll just wait outside. Oh, sorry, Weiss. Lin is much taller than me. Once I get closer, she refuses to meet my gaze. Does she not like me, or is it a spirit thing? My name is Ruby Rose, the Queen of Vale. Really now? All of Vale? You're the smartass. Well, a good chunk of it anyway. She laughs low, sounding pleased. I see. Why are you here? I have questions. A lot of them. Many people wish to gain my knowledge or power. The fact that you pass the tests means your motives are pure. And as the holder of Lanzahua, I feel honor-bound to assist you in any way I can. Ask me your questions. We can probably ask all of these before moving on. What can you tell me about your spirit? What about Lanzahua? What can you tell me about her? She lives in the redwoods, in green gemstones, and in me. Through her, I learned how to protect this plane. The spirits hate the Grimm with a ferocity unimaginable to us. They are mortal enemies cut from the same ethereal energy, yet diametrically opposed, and both just as dangerous. The spirits aren't good? A pause. They aren't held to the same notions of morality that you or I subscribe to. Huh? The Grimm hate the spirits and humanity. We hate them. In the end, it boils down to that. What do you know about Crescent Rose? Can you tell me more about my own spirit? Crescent Rose is the strongest of us because of her link to you. Your family has held Crescent Rose since the beginning. That wasn't the case for you? No, my spirit was loose, unclaimed. I found her, and she found me. The fact that Crescent Rose has been passed down without interruption from generation to generation, all within the same bloodline. Think of it like a math equation. Do I have to? Oh, Ruby. The power grew exponentially with each new host is all I'm trying to say. Interesting. Yeah, and with the Rose bloodline, you know, like the predecessor and the successor, they have, you know, time to like help each other out and like make sure that the transferring of power goes smoothly. So that's also an edge that they have. What are the spirits? I was always taught Crescent Rose is a power, a special magic in my blood, but I hear voices when I use the power, and I see things in my dreams. Ren tells me Crescent Rose is sentient, a person in her own right. Is it true? Yes. She says it so bluntly. It was a shock for me as well. What are they? They were here before humanity and continued to exist in the space between the portals. Not all spirits decided to join this world, but a good number of them did. The major spirits, I'd guess you say. Crescent Rose, Myrtenaster, Magenhild, Lanzarois, Tuacoain, and Lunafracta the Betrayer. They put themselves into the portals so the planes could band together against the darkness. By binding themselves to a corporeal form, they gained immense power. But it was also a great sacrifice. How so? The portals are physical constructions and can be broken. Lunafracta was the first to break, shattered so much she could never be rebuilt. Myrtenaster is split in half, Magenhild scattered to the winds. Of the ones connected to the portals, only Lanzarois, Tuacoain, and Crescent Rose remain intact. So why is Crescent Rose linked to me then? The spirits couldn't create the portals alone. Our help was needed, so select humans allowed the spirits to attune with them. Together they were twice as powerful. A symbiotic relationship between host and guest developed. So, like a parasite. Crescent Rose, would be a parasite to someone such as Ozpin. I'm surprised to hear his name on her lips, but in retrospect it shouldn't be so surprising. Glinda came here to see Lyn before I did. I'm still getting used to the idea of Crescent Rose being a person. Now I'm just more confused. Trust me, I understand your frustrations. Lanzarois and I communicate, but I'm no closer to the truth than I was 7 years ago. The spirits, their memories wax and wane. They only remember what they care to. I am done with my questions. The spirits all slept, as did the Grimm, for centuries, so I can only assume they draw their power from the same source. But then 7 years ago, something happened. That's when the Grimm attacked my parents. They were after Crescent Rose as humans because you posed the biggest threat to them, I imagine. Me? How? Because Crescent Rose woke up at the same time as the Grimm? Crescent Rose has not awoken yet, not entirely. How can that be possible? I could sense her the second Ruby stepped through the portal. Couldn't you? Lyn shakes her head. My focus is entirely on eliminating the Grimm threat on our plane, but I knew you the moment I saw you, Ruby. She steps past me, walking to the wall. At her touch, the inscriptions blaze up with light. They scroll continuously over the stones, changing before my eyes. Spirit-touched folk always have something that marks them as such. Their hair. Oh, so this is explaining, at least in this game, why Ren has the pink strand of hair. Their skin. Their eyes. What about Nora and Weiss? She folds her hands in front of her, head bowed. In silence, I wait. Crescent Rose isn't awake, not yet, but the wheels have been set in motion for her to reveal herself. When she does, there will be no mistaking it, and no telling what kind of devastating power she may unleash on her enemies. The words reverberate around us, the weight of them almost crushing me. This inheritance of mine just keeps getting better and better. Ruby, I'm sorry. Lyn places a hand on my shoulder, making me jump. When I look up, I meet her steady green eyes for the first time, and I understand why she avoided it at first. I know you. It was like when I met Ren for the first time, but more immense. Crescent Rose knows me. She might even consider me a threat. Alarmed, I reach up a hand to cover hers, still not tearing my eyes away. But we're on the same side. Lyn laughs. When she turns her head, the spell is broken. I take a few steps back, still reeling. That's like saying all humans are on the same side. The spirits carry their own grudges. She gestures to her son. Speaking of which, Ren, you must leave. I'm sorry. I know you don't want me here. No. Lin's eyes widen. She moves to touch Ren. Lin's eyes widen. She moves to touch Ren, arms outstretched to hold her son, but she stops herself. Oh, Ren. She crosses her arms tightly, smiling up at him. Ren, I'm so proud of you. Please never doubt that. His head bows. There is a centimeter of space between them, their foreheads nearly touching. After a long moment, Lin sighs. You must leave. My work here is not done. Ren folds his hands behind his back. When will I see you again? When I can control Lanzihua and continue to bargain with her. What does she want? Why is she keeping you here? He raises his voice, anger bleeding through his carefully maintained control. She wants you, Ren. The things she would do to keep her power within my bloodline are unspeakable. If you don't leave now, she may, I don't know, she might lash out at you in anger. For what? For betraying her. I hadn't realized how quiet Nora had gotten. She's pale, her eyes trained on the floor. Sorry, this is all my fault. Looking from one distraught face to another, I try to piece together what is going on here. Hold up. When Lin dies, won't Lanzihua just go to Ren, like Crescent Rose went to me? Isn't Ren connected to her the way I was connected to Crescent Rose when my parents wielded her? Is that not the case? There is another spirit inside me already. What? Which one? Mine. I'm sorry, I really don't want to talk about it. But Magenhild thinks Ren is hers too, and it's all my fault. So, Magenhild and Lanzihua, they both think that Ren is their, like, desired host? What? It's no one's fault. It's just an unfortunate misunderstanding. As the spirits continue to wake and rise in power, we'll be able to find a solution. For now, all I know is Lanzihua is feeding off my own desire to see you. Her jealousy, her possessiveness, burns through me hotter than hatred. When I die, two spirits may try to claim Ren at once. We don't know that for sure. For all we know, this just means your line ends with you. That's exactly what Lanzihua is afraid of. She longs for a power akin to Crescent Rose, passed down from parent to child. Ren is my only child, and she doesn't understand that he doesn't belong to her. This can't be the first time in the history of spirits and humans that something like this has happened. When the other spirits wake up, maybe they'll know what to do? Perhaps. She doesn't sound too hopeful, though. In the meantime, let's focus on the spirits who are about to wake up. Myrtanaster is unlikely to awaken for many years, so let's go with Ruby. Wait, what? It might be nice. You need something from here, right? Ren is super responsible. He'd be a great diplomat. You mean as a court member? Yeah! Lin, if you vouch for us, the monks can send Ren as a representative. And then the three of us can put our heads together and solve this. It's a perfect plan. You've been plotting this from the start, haven't you? Not plot, but plan, yeah. Lin narrows her eyes, staring hard at Nora and her son. There's an intensity to it that shocks me, it leaves me quiet. I can practically see the gears turning in her head, calculating, balancing, considering the pros and cons. Well, it's not a terrible idea. Nora leaps, punching the air. Yes, Sigil, let us go? Ren. His head snaps up to attention. Yes, mother? I want you to know your thoughts on this as well. Ren looks to me, seashell pink eyes searching for their own answer. I want to. Oh, what? What? He wants to? For Ruby? Yes! Yes! Nora leaps again, bouncing around Ren in a constant circle. As she dances, Ren regards me with concern. But Ruby, do you want us? Honestly, things are so chaotic back home that any help would be appreciated. It's whatever you decide. Yes, perhaps together you could find a solution to our problem. 3 spirit touched and 3 different spirits. Some good might come of it. Yes! Oh, Nora, gotta love her. This little vibrating sprite. Lynn, I love you so much. You won't regret this, I promise. Lynn looks to me. Now, I've delayed as long as I can. You really do need to leave. Oh, yeah. Thanks for having us. Oh god, Ruby's face. It gets a faint smile out of her. Please be well. And Nora? Nora looks up. Thank you for keeping my son safe. Of course, Lynn. He looks after me too. Ren reaches out, taking Nora's hand and squeezing it. Nora gives Lynn 2 hugs, squeezing once for herself and again for Ren. Respectfully, Ren bows to Lynn once more before we turn and leave. Respectfully, Ren bows to Lynn once before we turn and leave. Weiss is waiting for us in the hallway once we're outside the inner room. She stands up at the sound of our approaching feet, hesitantly hopeful. Well? The door slowly slides shut behind us. We're coming home with you! What? Ren's mom wants us to stick together. We all have a connection to the spirits. So that means we're going to learn how to use our powers and save the world. That's not exactly... You know what? Never mind. He bows low to Weiss and myself. I look forward to representing Heping on the Summer Rose Court. He smiles. And saving the world together. And I'll be there too, as his replacement if he croaks it, or something. You don't want to be a court member? You don't want to be a court member in your own right? No way. I don't want to be a chief either. I just want to be wherever Ren is. Oh. And wherever you are, Ruby. Okay. 2 moments of flirting. I'm starting to feel like they are a package deal. For just a second, I feel that same dazzling connection, the sense that I had met her before, long ago. Shaking my head to clear it, I try to remember where I am. Then let's go. I grin hugely at the both of them. There are rooms in the castle right next to mine. You can stay there if you like. We'd better go tell Glinda we're headed home early. Yeah. Having Lynn's endorsement speeds up negotiations immensely. We're able to go home by the end of the day. Of all the things I've seen you do, Rose, managing to get the dragon monks to rush to a decision overnight may border on miraculous. I'm a little nervous by such unmitigated praise, but from Glinda, of all people. And you're okay with Ren being our new court member? He's a fine choice. The other monks praise him highly. And more than a few of the Scudabresta people will be following their young chief through the portal. Not a chief. We have a place for them to stay, right? We certainly do, within the city. And if we have need of them, the dragon monks are simply 1 portal away. We approach the portals, imposingly large and ornate on this side as they are on the Veil side of things. Don't worry, Ren. It's really easy. I'm not worried. Okay, but if you are, you don't need to be. Thanks. Everyone else steps through first. Just before I leave, I turn and look back at the temples behind me. The lush mountains and the little towns I know are hidden within, protected by redwood walls. I won't rest until my plane is just as safe as this one. Determined, I stride through the portals and return to my kingdom. It's a new day. What do you want to do? Seeing as how we opted to open up another portal immediately last episode, I think maybe we should, or we could, tone it back just a little bit and stay in the castle. See if there's anything to explore. Personally, I'm gonna try and see if I can find Penny, but I don't really know where she is. Probably not in my room. So maybe the castle? Explore the castle. The tapestries in front of me stretch from the ceiling on the corridor to just a few feet above the ground in height, canvassing over an entire section of the wall. The gold thread must have shone brightly at one point, but the steady march of time has robbed it of its luster. It's not the only thing. The windows are covered in dust and grime, muting any light that shines through. I can barely see the sky out of them. Clearly this section of the castle hasn't been around. Clearly this section of the castle hasn't seen anyone in a long, long time. Among the portraits is one of my family, my mother, father, and myself. I'm just a toddler, sitting on mother's lap. Feeling heartsick, I turn my back and leave. Oh. Okay. So, not the castle. Let's, try my room? There's really only one place in this castle where I can be alone. It's needlessly spacious, filled with maps and bookshelves and a bed way too big for me. The royal quarters, which I still think of as my parents' room, are twice as big as this one. I almost got into a shouting match with Glinda when she tried to set me up there. Yang's room is a little bit further down the hall, within shouting distance. And yeah, we see some really beautiful, like, artwork painted onto the ceiling. I think that's a scythe meant to look like Crescent Rose, I believe. There's Pyrrha's spear and shield. I think that's Nora's hammer. Very interesting. That might be Yang's gauntlets. Very cool. And then over here, Tumblr artist See You Guys Later, also known as Gray. I think they did some artwork for this game, and like their mascot is like, you know, like a Grimm with like a little like cartoony feel to it, and so I think that's a little Easter egg. There's like a bunch of these little Grimm plushies in Gray's style hidden around in this game, so I think this is the first time that I've seen one, but it's really cute. Sitting down on the edge of my bed, I suddenly long for life back in the desert. There was always work to be done back home. Here, I'm graced with more free time than I know what to do with. Technically, I should be studying, but... Take a nap. Go over the map. Play with your old toys. So this sounds like a lot of me time, but actually, so those options, they all sound like they kind of progress through the day. Like if you take a nap, that takes time. If you play with your toys, that takes time. If you read some of your old books, that also takes time. So I'm down to do that, but I really do want to see if we can find Penny or have any interesting conversations with other characters, such as Oobleck. Hello, Ruby. I have those documents you asked for on your personal shelf. There are also some lesson plans Lady Goodwitch drew up for you. After thanking him, I find a comfortable place to sit. Glinda said I should practice my runes when I can. No better time than the present. It's tough going at first. Runes had never been my specialty, and I never had much interest in learning magic, so it had always seemed like a useless skill. As time passes, it's become easier. The shapes return to me as an old friend. What's that you've got there? Oh! I snapped the book of runes shut in fright, turning in my seat. Blake, it's just you. You startled me. Sorry. She takes a seat next to me. I don't recognize this language. What is it? Runes, used in magic, mainly. I never got the hang of it. Too much academia. What about you? I never had the chance, unfortunately. Really? I know you live in the forest, but you grew up here, right? Language education is compulsory in the city. Even runes, that's how people decide if they want to go and join the Curia or not. Is it now? Yeah, it's in the laws my parents passed down. It's standard for all children. Maybe human children. Oh. But wouldn't my parents... Did that mean they didn't care? Clearing my throat, I start to fiddle with one of the books. It swings open and shut under my finger. Voila. Any magic users in the forest? A few. Not me, though. I always found my semblance more immediately useful, even if it lacks the versatility of magic. I didn't want to risk however many years it would take to focus my aura that way. Would you like to study together? Maybe in another playthrough I would choose this, because I actually do like Blake's character in this game a lot. But for now I think I need to concentrate. Well, I won't get any better just sitting here. I'm gonna get to work. Mind if I sit here with you while you study? Of course not. Blake and I share a smile before we settle down into comfortable silence, each of us absorbed in our own world. Before I know it, hours have passed. Several blank slates are scattered across my desk, my sleeves coated in chalk dust. I had gotten my mind off of things bothering me while honing an important skill. A very productive day, if you ask me. I'm calling it a night. Blake blinks up at me, her gold eyes looking just a little more open than they had before. Okay, I think I'm going to stay here for a bit longer myself. Good night, Ruby. Night, Blake. Making sure to put back most of the books where they belong, I give Oobleck instructions for next time. Do these books need to stay in here, or can I take some to my room? Whichever ones don't need to be under the library's magics can be sent up to you by tonight. Thank you, Oobleck. Have a good day. He mumbles something back at me, running a hand through his shaggy, unkempt hair. Already he's walking through the stacks, his nose in an open book. Yes, you as well, Ruby. Absently, he pats my head like a small child or a dog. Okay. A lot of people have been too affectionate with me, trying to curry my favor. Others have been kept at a frigid distance by my title. It's comforting to know Oobleck still sees me as the same girl I'd been when I had left. Okay, so we still have more things to do. I see. I really want to talk to Penny, and maybe Weiss, but I guess we'll have to talk to Yang. A reminder of home would be nice right about now. With that in mind, I go down to the stables where the dragons are being kept. These stables are different from the desert ones they're used to, but I make sure that the magic fire is kept lit to them at all times to keep the air around them dry. As I approach, I hear Yang's voice, accompanied by loud snarls and hissing growls. To no surprise, I find her wrestling with Ember, a block of jerky in her hand just out of reach of Ember's snapping jaw. Oh, you want to play tough today, huh? You're asking for it. Spotting her chance, Yang clamps both hands down over Ember's snout, keeping her jaw shut. Ember whines, weakly scrabbling at Yang with her front claws. Watch it. Ember's front limbs immediately go slack, though her claws clench and unclench with a desire to strike out. Be nice. In response, Ember just wriggles some more, trying to shake her head free. A low, constant rumble rolls from her throat. Make all the noise you want. I'm still the biggest dragon here, and you're gonna do what I say. Now sit. Obediently, Ember's rump falls down onto the floor. After checking to make sure she won't bite, Yang lets her jaw go. Leaning against one of the perimeter walls, I just watch the familiar scene go down with a smile. At once, Ember tries to go for the jerky again. Yang stops her with an open palm, pushing her snout down in a display of dominance. Yang doesn't yell, but her voice stays firm. No, you don't eat yet. I eat first. I'm the big dragon. I eat first. This is my food. My food. Nom. She makes loud slurping noises, pretending to eat the jerky in front of Ember. The dragon whines and stomps her feet like a child throwing a tantrum. That's so cruel. well, seeing as how Yang is an actual Xiaolong, and like, I would trust that she knows what she's doing, so we're gonna be silent and watch, even if it is a bit stern. Knowing that Yang has to continually reassert herself as the leader of the pack, I continue to watch in silence as she quells Ember's aggression down with harmless displays of dominance. Yeah, harmless. She's not like striking the dragons or anything. Eventually, she has Ember roll over, flopping onto her back in defeat. Aw, you're a good girl. You are. She strokes Ember along her neck, patting her soothingly. You were just having a grumpy fuss, huh? Grumpy fuss? At the sudden switch into baby talk, Chelika's interest is piqued. She stretches out, yawning over a long nap next to the fire. She trots over to Yang and nudges her for attention. Don't worry, baby. I didn't forget you. Come here. Yang loops an arm around Chelika's neck, pulling the dragon down to lie next to Ember and have her join them on the floor. She sits with her back resting against Ember's belly. Ember occasionally nuzzles her, rubbing their heads together jaw to jaw. Chelika rests her long neck over Yang's lap, throat trilling and tweeting like a small bird. That's when Yang spots me, waving me over. Hey Ruby, sorry, I'd get up, but I've got like 500 pounds of dragon on my lap. They look like they're being a handful right now. Chelika butts her snout against Yang's chin, snorting in her face. You could say that. Walking over, I grab Ember by the muzzle and give her head a playful shake. Her nostrils flare as she explores my hands and sleeves, snuffling for treats and grumbling when she doesn't find any. Okay. So maybe butting in that situation is kind of like a path to talk more with Yang and possibly develop a relationship. But as previously done in, I think, the first episode, we just declined that option flat out to have any possible romance between ourselves and Yang. So I guess we have to finish the day in our room. Let's go over the map. This is just a map of the kingdom and surrounding areas. The plain is much bigger than this. So we have Grimm territory on the outside, Kingdom of Vale, and surrounding areas. This is the southern forest, Azure Serpent Spring, Grimm Gulf, Forest Cove. Can't make out what that says. Something Gulf. Vital Lake. So Beacon is kind of like an island castle in Beacon Lake, that makes sense. Then we have the Northern Mountains, and then the Western Desert. So the kingdom is divided into 4 quadrants, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously, the southern forest belongs to the Faunus. Here's a place I don't even know the first thing about. When I was a kid, there was an attempt to make these the royal hunting grounds, but the Faunus had claimed the area as their own. So anytime the humans tried to move in, there was lots of fighting. Nowadays, with the Grimm appearing in larger numbers, the whole area is infested. I honestly don't know how the Faunus survive in a place like that, with no walls to protect them. Lake must have had a hard time traveling to and from such a place. I actually really like how they describe this in the game, because canonically in the show, Blake didn't live in a, like, designated city. So, like, in the show they said that, like, humans lived in, like, settlements, with, like, walls and, like, you know, huntsmen and huntresses as defenses. But then people who, like, lived outside of those... I'm sorry, not settlements, but kingdoms. So those who lived outside of kingdoms had to, like, fight for themselves, really, and, you know, it only made them stronger. because they had to fight the Grimm on a daily basis. So even though this is the Kingdom of Vale, the Southern Forest is very much outside of like Beacon's protection, and so it's a very cool attention to detail. Western Desert. My eyes are immediately drawn to the west. A scattering of pins dot the landscape, marking the location of the different Xiaolong tribes. With no small amount of irritation, I notice some of the pins are in the wrong place, of course. Our sister clan would never be that close to Grimm territory. Taking the pin out, I move it closer to safety. It doesn't relieve the actual threat against them, but it makes me feel better. It's especially a relief to know that Yang and I can now act as representatives from that part of the plane. Mistakes like that won't be made anymore now that I'm in charge. Am I really in charge, though? Questions. So, it looks like this plane doesn't really have a title. I guess it's mostly one lake, but this one's Southern Forest, Western Desert, Northern Mountains. So should this be like Eastern something? Mother and father used to take me on horseback rides along the river all the time. I still remember the sight of windmills over endless farmland, the wheat ripping in the wind like a golden ocean. The Vital Lake also has a lot of fishing communities. Most Grimm can't swim, so they also sometimes build floating towns made out of several dozen boats. Most of my extended family live in that part of the plain on the hills, but according to Ozpin, none of them want anything to do with me. Oh. Those who are still alive, anyway. I think they're mad I didn't die, so that none of them could claim the throne. Jeez. Okay, rude. Ozpin says even if I die, it would be very hard for someone else to attune with Crescent Rose. So, out of all of these, it sounds like the eastern section of the kingdom is probably like most in line with the actual kingdom. Like if you think of the Roman Empire, you know, like the land of Italy was most known as that's where Romans lived, and like all other territories are like annexed territories or like, you know, other parts of the empire that are technically Roman but aren't really, you know, ethnically, culturally. So it sounds like this is like where real, I don't want to say real, but like on paper where most people, where most Valayans live. So now we have the Northern Mountains. My eyes go immediately to the north, where the Curia lies. Smaller dots on the map mark out the lesser portals and the townships that surround their markets. I wonder about the mountains that reside even further towards the pole. They say only the wizards are strong enough to risk those altitudes, but occasionally you hear a rumor or two that there are villages hidden somewhere in the ice. Every other town in the area is crossed out, either lost to the Grimm or from infighting with each other. The crown's grip on those territories weakened after my parents' death. Alright. And I guess that's it. Maybe taking a nap is like how to end the day. We'll see. Let's play with our old toys. What? No way. If Yang or anyone else walked in here and saw me playing with my old dolls, I'd never hear the end of it. After a moment of consideration, I double-checked the locks on my door and then returned to the toys. Pulling each of them out of the chest they had been stored in, I lined some of the bookshelves with them, but not before making sure their hair is combed. Hey, some of them are very well made. It's basically like adding art to the room. Okay. Short but sweet section. It'd be really funny if Penny just barged in, or someone. Read some of your books. Any good thing about living back in the castle is that I have access to any book I could ever need. Opening up the book on my desk, I glance over the table of contents. As I flip through the pages, a sheet of paper falls out. At first I'm concerned that I had shaken it loose from the binding, but on closer inspection I realize the page is covered in Yang's handwriting. I scan over it curiously. Oh no. No. Oh god, it's this drawing. Ruby, I know Glinda has been trying to shove this book down your throat for weeks now, so I took a look through it first. It's super boring, so I'm giving you a cheat sheet in case Glinda springs a surprise test on you. Honestly, most of it is fluff, so I'm only gonna give you the important bits. Bless you, Yang. Plain of Vale. Ruled by the Rose Monarchs, or at least it used to be, the family's power got shaken up by an intense Grimm horde invasion not too long ago. It hurt the whole plane, but the Roses got hit the hardest. Almost like someone was targeting them. The Rose Monarchs like to pretend they own the whole plane, and maybe once upon a time they did, but really they only control the capital and some farmlands out east. Ah, yes. There we go. That confirms my suspicion. Vale used to be full of magic ley lines, but most of them have fallen into disrepair. They end out west, near the edge of the desert. The only ones still maintained and protected are the ones around the capital. Beacon is protected by strong currents of magic that lines the borders of the city. Almost nobody knows how they work except the High Wizards and the royal family. As for the capital itself, the military forces split up between the Castle Guard and the City Guard. Each of those is also split up further into 3 categories according to their shift: morning, day, and night. So you'll have Day Castle Guard or Night City Guard, etc., etc. The names are as self-explanatory. Castle Guard is primarily concerned with the nobility. City Guard patrol the roads and the city itself. They work together to fight the Grimm on the Queen's behalf. Then there's the super special Queen's Guard, aka me. The Queen's Guard is its own chapter, and there used to be a bunch just called Royal Guard, but they all died during the attack. I wonder, if I get more people in the Queen's Guard, does that mean I get to be the captain? That would be great. The portals. Doors that go to other planes. It's not like another planet, but another universe? Something about shards of a broken mirror in the darkness. I honestly didn't understand half of it, and when I asked Glinda for help, she kept talking about math and I zoned out. I really don't know much about them. This chapter was confusing. The biggest deal is that the other planes can't reach each other unless they go through our plane first. The Faunus. This chapter is really racist. It keeps talking about how the Grimm and the Faunus are related, which totally isn't true. I got pretty upset. I noticed there are singe marks on the 3rd chapter. Yeah, she got pretty angry. It doesn't even talk about the Kata Faunus out west. Whoever wrote this book sucks. The Grimm. Gone for a bajillion years. They got so rare we'd only get them like once a decade, and that was near the capital. In the desert, we never saw them at all. Then 7 years ago, they returned en masse. The desert was clear for a while, but now they're appearing there too. But you already knew all that. Only enchanted weapons and fire are known to be good against the Grimm. The Faunus have developed a way to make weapons out of Grimm body parts, and those seem to work too. Mishglas? It is butt-bustingly cold here. I don't even know how humans live here. It's the worst. They have a caste system set up too, which is dumb. This whole chapter is so boring, I'm sorry. But the section on dust was very interesting. Mishglas is rich because they have a monopoly on dust, and it turns out Sershni's family is one of the main exporters. I guess that's why she's such a high caste. Her family is important enough that the Duke was hesitant to kill her, but still they aren't in charge of Mishglas, the Duke is. Technically he's their king, but they refuse to use that word. To them, a king or a queen is a mystical and auspicious title. To be considered queen there, you basically have to circumvent a huge natural disaster, or pull a magic sword out of a lake, or fly down from the stars. I think Weiss was a little starstruck by meeting you, Ruby, since she'd never met an actual queen before. She kept giving you these shy glances whenever she thought you wouldn't notice. Oh, Weiss, you're doing what now? But I did. Oh my god. Oh my god. Please. Oh no. Of all people to use that face, it's Yang. It totally should have been Blake, but... Okay. Weiss also brought along 7 of her knights. They're all about as powerful as one of our mages. The Knights Offaland. Bedwyr the Scarlet is the beanpole. Very cute. He's Gwen's lover, and she's cute too. Keeps to himself, so I don't know much about him. Tristan the Citrine reminds me of one of the quartermasters here. You've met Master Port, right? Imagine a younger Port, but like, he's ginger. Tristan is always telling stories about Cershni as a squire. Somehow I'm the one who gets in trouble with the Knight Commander, though. Gallius the Gold needs no introduction. I'm sure you already know which one she is. She tends to announce it a lot. Talkative, bit of a magpie. She asked me if I could give her some of Ember's scale the next time she sheds. Drinks like a demon. Gwaine the Emerald is absolutely adorable, and I love her. Unfortunately, she's Bedwyre's lover, and she likes men exclusively, and has no plans on changing that anytime soon. Sorry, Yang. Every time she hears someone is headed towards the portals, she'll ask them to send a letter through to her little sister. Lancelin the Blue is the one Weiss went into exile for. They have a very close relationship. Lancelin is a commoner, but Weiss saw potential and knighted them. I talked to Lancelin more, but I think Weiss isn't intentionally sabotaging me. Maybe the Knight Commander has a crush? Or maybe she just thinks I'm a rapscallion out to steal her knight's honor. It's honestly super endearing. Saphir the Indigo is Weiss's second in command. Saphir doesn't talk much, but she is impressive as hell. Got a mind like a knife. And finally, Agravain the Violet. He's so cool. He has these clay pots that fit on like a belt over his chest, and then Agravain fills the pots with dust and crystals and throws them. He calls them grenades. I think that's why he's missing a few fingers. Oh boy. And finally, Heping. Heping is mountainous and foggy. According to Ren, it's because of the spirit who lives there. I don't really know what to think about that, but after what I've seen... Well, anyway, let's not talk about the spirits. Heping is all about balance. It's a peaceful place. The monks keep it in good shape. And if they don't, the people won't feed them. It's a pretty good setup as far as I can tell. Everyone's responsible for their own task. I have some words to say about their dragons, however. And I'm not talking about Ren's mom. I mean those little chickens they have running around the temples. A few of them snuck through the portals, too. Nora has the audacity to call them dragons. Dragons do not have feathers, and they don't eat fruit either. What we saw was a fluffy, singing lizard, not a dragon. And if you're reading this, Nora, fight me. Why would Nora be in Ruby's room? I'm done reading. That was fun. A little bit of an exposition dump, but done in a tasteful manner. I closed the book. And now I guess it's time for a nap. A little extra sleep sounds good right now. Really good. With that happy thought, I take my crown off my head. Placing it carefully on my bedside table, I start to disrobe before falling down on my bed. It feels like I barely close my eyes when there's a commotion. Oh no. I hear someone shouting in the halls, faintly at first, then louder, accompanied by the sound of shoes coming to a stop before my door. Immediately, there's a knock, and I hastily put on my crown and cloak. What's going on? Oof! Opening the door, the first thing I see and feel is a set of knuckles as the stranger keeps knocking. The woman's expression goes from surprise to horror. She takes a step back and bows, but her eyes stay on me in her worry. Ah, forgive me, Your Majesty. Are you hurt? Her uniform indicates that she's one of the palace couriers. I'll be fine, don't worry. See? It's nothing serious. If you say so, Your Majesty. Now, what was it that you needed? I was told to find you by the Queen's Guard. Yang? Did something happen? A pressure starts building in the back of my skull. It's low and insistent, just like how I feel before I get the nightmares. No, Your Majesty. From what I understand, she thought you might enjoy watching the guards drilling outside the city. Perhaps even participate. Message delivered. She bows and leaves. I want to. Oh my god. I want to. I really, really want to. But something's wrong. My head feels so weird. I don't want to faint in front of my soldiers and appear weak. But I only started feeling this way when the courier said Yang's name. What if it was a warning? If she's in trouble? I mean, maybe Yang won't be in trouble, but there's definitely something up if we're feeling the pain at the mention of Yang's name. I'd like to see them. Practicing. When I go tell Glinda, she tightens her lips in a small frown. I cannot accompany you outside the walls today. That's fine. I'll just go by myself. I know the way. No, that won't do. Since the Queen's Guard is away, I'll call for part of the castle guard to meet you in the main courtyard. Be sure to bring your glaive. Gah, but what if I act all weird because of Crescent Rose? Do all of them have to come with me? They deserve a rest. Can't I just take, I don't know, half of them? It's not a suggestion. I sigh. Fine. As soon as I say the words, some of the pressure in my head abates. Thank you, Rose. Whether you believe it or not, your safety means a great deal to me. I didn't rescue you in the desert so you could die here under my watch. Gee, thanks, I guess? I shake my head. The ride out is pleasant enough. Celica definitely enjoys getting out, though I start to fidget when I notice how many people are going out of their way to stop and bow or curtsy to me. A slight pressure builds at the back of my skull, pounding as the chatter ebbs. Can I make some sort of rule that says they don't have to do that? The sun is high in the sky. A fairly strong breeze whips itself down alleys, roads, and in between houses as it goes, pleasant and cool on my skin. I greet them like Osmond told me to. People are nervous, tired, and need some sense of stability, especially with a young girl on the throne. Creating a good public image is a vital first step. In that case, I'm glad that I got out of the castle and didn't take a nap. There are some worry faces, but others look approving after I pause to speak with some of them. A little less burdened, more hopeful. It eases some of my own worries. Near the city gates, we catch sight of one of the city guard galloping through, shouting. Spotting us, he rides up, pulling short fast enough that his horse's head tosses in protest. There's blood splashed on his armor and his reddened face. It takes a few moments to make sense of what he's saying. Your Majesty. Say that again? Grimm! It's Grimm, Your Majesty. A pack got the jump on us. Go to the castle, find Lady Goodwitch and tell her. And Ser Schnee and the Knights Offaland. What about you? I'm going to kill some Grimm. Now hurry. Yes, Your Majesty. He gallops off, and as he goes, one of my guard catches my attention by clearing her throat, a cautious look on her face. Your Majesty, perhaps it would be better if you didn't... I'm not going to do nothing while people are fighting and dying for me. If you don't like that, you can stay here. Ooh, fiery Rose. My guards stare at me, but I keep my eyes on the one who spoke. It's easier than meeting all their gazes. She stares back, but there's an odd look on her face, even as her mouth remains a steady line. Without warning, it curves into a grin, catching me by surprise, before her solemn look returns. Still something different about it, though. Ah, fondness. Looking about, I try to spot who had just spoken. It didn't sound like any of my guards. It felt like it came from within me, gave me that same cold sensation on the back of my neck that my nightmares did. The guardswoman speaks then, drawing my attention back to her. If I or anyone else tells you to flee, Your Majesty, you must do as we say. Understand? We can't have you dying on us, no matter the cost to your guard. I understand, but if you can help the others? I know you're supposed to be watching over me, but I don't think I need all 10 of you. I can fight, and Celica is as good as 2 fighters. We're still staying close. That's fine. Let's go. We manage to free ourselves of the crowds and move a bit faster, the people parting to make way after a lot of shouting. My guard keeps a steady trot until the first signs of the skirmish reach us. It takes a few firm pulls to convince Celica to stop. A mass of chaos, screams, shouts, horses whinnying, and the familiar roars and growls of Grimm. Occasionally I think I hear Ember and Yang, though I can't see them from here. We arm ourselves without a word, then wind our way towards the fight, my guards extending like 2 wings in front of me. Celica roars as she runs, threatening to pass the horses closest to us. Brace yourselves! A few Grimm break away from the main mass of bodies to come at us. With only a small pause to focus, I summon my semblance, hundreds of petals appearing, and send them flying through the air. To my surprise, they slice through fur and hide, the blood spraying as the Grimm scream, some rolling and some stumbling to a stop, dead. Not one remains standing. Since when did my semblance do that? Yeah. Up until now, it's just been blowing enemies back, but now, like, the petals are actually projectiles. It's very interesting. There's no time to think on it, though, as we enter the real fray. My guards help. One of them throws open hand strikes, which honestly looks a bit silly, but the Grimm flying backwards are testament to the power of their semblance. Another guard slams a hammer into the Grimm they face, a faint blue light erupting from the metal. Red and white pierces through black flesh. The Grimm howl before they start crumbling away. The enchantments are even stronger than before. Some kind of upgrade? We may really stand a chance against the Grimm if things keep going this way. Occasionally a Grimm gets past the guards, and I'm forced to focus on that one. Some of our people are too far, and I don't see them fast enough, can't reach them in time, and I have to watch as they fall beneath the Grimm. Man. Eventually, thanks in part to some helpful bursts of flame and familiar roaring, I see yellow amongst all the steel gray, black, white, and red. With the help of my guards, there's a small reprieve, and I'm able to get up beside Yang. There's blood on her. I can't tell if it's hers, though. Yang, are you okay? Hey, little Rose, we're doing okay considering they dropped out of nowhere, but help definitely would be nice. Any ideas? If we could wipe a lot of them out at once, we might be able to get them to retreat again, but we'd risk hurting the guard too. Ah, here he is. Golden Boy. Your Majesty, I have an idea. Yang and I turn to see one of the city guards standing behind us. What's your name, guardsman, and what's your plan? I like that. You know, sometimes when, like, people in positions of power or prestige, you know, if someone beneath them, like, recommends something or suggests something, they'll be like, what do you have to offer? Psh. But, like, just this random guardsman, unbeknownst to them, who is John Arc, you know, like, suggests something, and then Yang just, you know, she, like, accepts his offer nonchalantly. So, I think that's pretty cool. Arc. John Arc. As for my plan, the Grimm came at us from the north, right? So I figure, however messy it got, most of our forces are south. Wind's blowing at our backs. If we use fire, it might kill enough of them to make a difference. So long as everyone manages to get out of the group of Grimm, no one will get hurt by it. I like it. You would. If we do that, I can help keep the Grimm back until we're ready for fire. And I'll get to help roast them. Right? Yes, O loyal Queen's Guard. Now, would you give the command? Yes, Your Majesty. I relay the instructions to our bugler. A few seconds later, the signal for a retreat rings out, cutting through the sounds of battle. Soldiers manage to regroup and start moving south, warding off Grimm who are close at their heels. Ying and I stay behind to watch the guards' backs. John stays as well, despite having his fair share of wounds. Aren't you going to retreat? How'd it look if I ran while the Queen didn't? My plan, my responsibility. Dude! Yes! Yes! That's awesome. I like it. With that, he focuses again on the fight, lashing out at the closest Grimm. Yang calls out to me. Ruby, I think everyone's back now. You ready? Yeah. Ooh, that's really badass. This is sick. I'm gonna save this real quick. Just cause, like, I love this frame so much. Wow. You can see, like, the soldiers in the background. And Yang really in her element, just blasting the Grimm to, like, cinders. Wow, I can't tell who drew this, but they did a really good job. Yang immediately snaps her arms out and two walls of fire roar into being, one on each side. Some Grimm are incinerated there and then, others run into it but jump right back out, fire in their fur. The fire leaps with the help of the wind onto others. Soldiers turn their spears to torches, warding off the Grimm until Yang expands the walls of fire. This time the flame surrounds the front line of Grimm, building in intensity as I force the winds to rise. Their howls, whines, and yelps compete with the roar and crackle of the fire. Some start running away. Don't seem to like fire, Grimm, do they? They're not done yet. Some extra encouragement then, Your Majesty? Right. I summon up my aura once more, the air filling with petals, before sending them at the Grimm from every direction. From what I can see, quite a few falls from the numerous blows, and a shout goes up from the guard at the sight. They're retreating! And they are. They don't bother trying to come around the fire, focused only on escaping. Most limp away, first scorched or shining slick with blood. And don't come back, you filthy scum! Okay. Feeling drained, I sit back heavily in the saddle. Celica turns her head to look at me, and I pat her snout to reassure her, before eyeing the inferno. For all Yang's efficiency in starting fires, she can't stop one once she let it run free. Alright, time to clean up. Let's get this put out, check for the wounded and the dead. Get a pyre built for them. Let's get started. Yeah. Unfortunately, we had some casualties that battle. The Mishklas Knights arrived too late to aid in the battle, the dirt pounding under their horses' hooves and magic shimmering in the air around them, but they helped us in putting out the fires and dealing with the dead. Sershni accompanies me back to the castle, making sure her steed keeps pace with Celica. I can't believe I wasn't present for this. She seems more offended by her own absence than by the presence of the Grimm. It's fine, Sershni. You couldn't have known. I should have known. Some protector I am. My nose deep in a book while you were fighting for your life. Blake is riding on the same saddle, arms clasped tight around Sershni's waist. She lets go long enough to prod Sershni's cheek, skin folding in under the pressure of her sharp nails. There's no sense beating yourself up over it. It happened. We'll do better in the future. Blake's right. The attack was so sudden, and it ended just as quick. Sershni huffs and puffs for a few more minutes until we're at the castle gates. From now on, I'm leaving one of my knights with you at all times. At all times, do you hear me? Please don't. She cares. Night has already fallen by the time I'm ready to fall into bed and pass out, but Osmond stops me before I can, catching me in the hallways. Your Majesty, a moment if you would? More lessons? I know Glinda and I need to meditate every night to help control Crescent Rose, but not that. It'll take only a moment of your time. Alright then. What is it you wanted to talk about? The fight. There were reports of a guardsman who helped turn the tide of the battle. Someone named John, yes. What about him? First of all, there's typically an award given to those who do well in battle, a mark of recognition, and a purse. There's a proper ceremony, but given the situation these days, it's up to you. Something smaller, alright? Can we bring him to the castle tomorrow? Yes, I have another suggestion as well. Sure. Normally, if the person has the support of their peers and superiors, they're raised in rank within the castle or city guard. But in this case, Yang and I discussed the possibility of making him part of the Queen's Guard. She was particularly enthusiastic about the idea. Yang likes anyone who tells her she can light things on fire. Osmond chuckles. Well, that does seem to be true. She made a good point about him potentially being of greater use in the Queen's Guard. On top of that, Glinda and I have actually been watching John for some time now. He has been noted for good service before. And his background is unique for someone in the city guard. What? The Arc Line was dedicated to protecting your family. They considered it their duty. Of course, that was several centuries ago. The main way they honor the old traditions now is by sending most of their children to serve in the castle guard. And they still hold the distinction of being one of the few families allowed to display the rose crest in their heraldry. Those few of them who are left, of course. Huh. I'll leave you the night to think on it then, Your Majesty, if you'll excuse me. Give him a regular reward and make him part of the Queen's Guard, yeah. I think I've already made up my mind. Already? Very well then. What will you do, Your Majesty? I want him in the Queen's Guard. As you wish, Your Majesty. Will I have to do anything special for it? I didn't do anything special for Yang. You will have to present the award and speak, as Queen. Oh boy. There will be someone up there with a book. You need only to read clearly and insert his name at the appropriate times. We'll practice beforehand. Really? Thank goodness. Ospen chuckles. Sleep well, Ruby. He bows, leaves. I get ready for bed, falling asleep almost immediately. No nightmares plague me. Alright, so now we're into the next day, and I think this is a perfect place to take a break as we've gone over the hour mark. This episode has been really, really fun. You know, we returned back from Heping, and then got to spend some time in the castle, and then we met John, which was pretty interesting. It's a very strong first impression that I got with that scene with John. You know, we have Yang accepting his idea very nonchalantly. Maybe nonchalantly is the wrong word, but like she took it well. There was like no hesitation from like someone beneath her giving her a suggestion, so that was definitely a good mark on her behalf. And then, you know, John like actually refusing to retreat because it's his idea, and you know, the very possibility of the plan going south and then him escaping and making it out alive, like that would reflect poorly on him, and he recognizes this, so he chooses to stay with Ruby and Yang and to see his plan through. And so that's honestly a very strong first impression that I got from John. You know, he's like someone who's very responsible, very serious, and he cares about what he says. So, and you know, cute moments with Weiss, who you know, obviously cares a lot about her duty to protect Ruby. And the only thing I guess is that we didn't see Penny, so I guess she's somewhere recovering, but hopefully we get to talk to her soon. That would be really cool. But alright, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of Ruby Summer Rose Court. Until then.
You so fucking precious when you smile. Yeah. Girl, I lose myself up in those eyes.